Hey one and all, welcome back to the channel, and at a time when the Transformers Studio Series line is getting ready to kind of offer us a souped up Optimus Prime, whether you use the Voyager class SS-32 or the upcoming Leader class Optimus, I thought that it would be nice for us to kind of take a little bit of a step back, if you will, and look at what is considered, apparently, by name, by virtue of what it says on his box, to be the ultimate Optimus Prime. One where he combines with his trailer, one where he gets as souped up as Optimus could possibly be. I'm talking, of course, about 2011's Dark of the Moon, Ultimate Optimus Prime, and he's going to be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one and all, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and me everywhere. And this is the Dark of the Moon Ultimate Optimus Prime. Now we have had versions of Optimus where his trailer turns into like a accessory ring, I think. We've seen Optimus connect with his trailer. We've seen Optimus connect with Jetfire. But through it all, there's only one figure that was released, and it came out in 2011, that had the name, that had apparently even the size class title of Ultimate. But just how ultimate is this guy? Yes, it looks impressive here, there's no doubt, when he's all together. We're going to start him out in vehicle mode. We're going to compare him to a bunch of different Optimuses. We're even going to compare him to a couple of Titans, since the claim is that in this mode he extends to be about 2 feet of limb and wing. We're going to see just how ultimate this guy really is. So without any further ado, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at him. So 3 movies in, as of 2011, as part of the Dark of the Moon line, we got this guy who was billed as the biggest Optimus Prime, at least to date. Perhaps that still holds true if you include all of his extra pieces. The base figure is kind of billed as a Voyager class figure. We'll kind of do some comparisons there in a bit and see if that's true. And then evidently the entire trailer section can transform and become about 2 feet worth of armor and like limb extensions and wings and all of this sort of stuff. It's almost, I don't know how many of you guys have followed wrestling, but if you know Brock Lesnar, and you know, I'm sure everybody knows Brock Lesnar, but if you know Paul Heyman, of course, he always does this, reigning, defending, undisputed champion. Well, like, this guy would kind of be the reigning, defending, undisputed biggest Optimus Prime. At least he was when he came out. Does that necessarily mean he's ultimate? Just because you're the biggest man, does that really mean that you're ultimate? Does that, no. If you know me, then you know that I'm pretty picky about the words that are used to properly describe something. That's why I'm so hard on the masterpiece line. If you're calling yourself a masterpiece, you better be perfect. If you're calling yourself ultimate, you better be ultimate. Now, that being said, I would say that we're starting off with a rather cool looking truck mode, although admittedly the trailer section, at least to me, seems kind of oversized for the cab. I have heard that, I believe it was the Revenge of the Fallen Leader class cab, scales better with this, and the trailer can be towed with it, but you can't integrate the figure into the armor the same way because, of course, that Leader class figure would be too big. Nevertheless, this is, in truck mode, certainly a substantially large, bulky, and imposing Optimus Prime. Now, while I don't have any box in this case, or instructions or any of that stuff, I was lent this guy to take a look at by a friend of the channel, Andrew, and this is it. I just had to figure it out. Just figure it out. And the first thing that I will note is that he is quite heavy. Very bulky. I mean, he's the dude solid, man. Now, that being said, A lot of his weight and bulk is here in the trailer. That's definitely the selling point for this guy. Let's just see him in comparison to a couple of other iterations of the Autobot leader, just so we can get a sense of how big this is by a couple of things that are probably more familiar to more people. Although a lot of people probably know this. It's now, what, an 8-year-old figure? The fact is, let's see him compared to some modern day things, or fairly modern day things. And there he is with the Power of the Prime's leader class Optimus Prime, who is substantially smaller. By the way, this Optimus Prime is getting a mold reuse as Star Convoy. Now, I don't actually own this. This is actually one of the Scraplets figures, part of his collection. And so it's not actually mine, though I do like the mold, and I think that using it for Star Convoy, while I get the complaint that, hey, it's just a remold of a figure that we already have. I get that. I absolutely agree with you. Because I don't actually have this figure myself in my collection, I think Star Convoy is the use that I want for myself. By the way, when we get to him in robot mode, a lot of people always complain about how loose the ankles are on Power of the Prime's Optimus Prime, and I'm tired of hearing about it, man, because they're not. Actually, they're among the most secure ankles you can have if you transform them correctly. So I'm just going to quickly revisit it when we get to him in robot mode for a comparison. We can also, in this mode, take a look at him next to the Second Chance trailer, along with, in this case, the Age of Extinction Voyager-class Optimus Prime. And again, you can see substantially smaller, both in height and in length. And even if you compare the two cabs, they say that this cab from Ultimate Optimus Prime was about a Voyager size. You know, you talk about how size classes change over time. That being said, I have also gotten into using this trailer with another Voyager Optimus Prime, the Siege Voyager class Optimus Prime, and I like the way actually the Second Chance trailer works with this Optimus. By the way, for some people who will see this, I can almost guarantee I'm going to get the question, because I always get it when I show it, is, what trailer is that? It is the Second Chance SCO-1 repair station. I looked at it a long time ago in episode 226. And while I haven't compared all of the Optimuses that I've taken a look at on the channel over the years to the Ultimate guy here, I thought that I would pick out the ones that were the most appropriate to compare him to. So I looked at the Age of Extinction Optimus way back in episode 64, and the work that I did on him to make a custom faceplate in episode 72, a super duper long time ago. The Power of the Prime's Optimus, I looked at him in episode 347. The Siege Optimus I looked at in episode 494, and you can probably tell that my Siege Optimus has been highly customized. So while I looked at him kind of stock in episode 494, I also looked at how to remove the battle damage and what other custom work I did on him in episode 499. And so that brings us right here, where we are now, with just the truck, and it rolls actually surprisingly great, which I say surprisingly because we do have one accessory technically, and that one accessory is down underneath here. It is his ginormous blaster, and I believe it probably still stands as the biggest accessory to come with, with a figure, or certainly the biggest battle accessory to come with the figure. And I thought it was appropriate to take a look at this dude now, because we do have a Studio Series Leader Class Optimus where it's going to be a cabinet trailer coming out. Now, granted, that is, going to be the whole, battle ring thing. This does not become the battle ring, but it's kind of a modern take on a movie Optimus with a trailer. So I thought, hey, why not take a little look back to kind of see what was the standard bearer, perhaps? Certainly what was considered ultimate. Not so sure yet if I consider it ultimate. So that being said, we can tip this up and remove this from the bottom. And what we have is some pegs on it that go into various peg holes here and here and here and here, kind of underneath. So we're going to kind of take all of this out of the way and look at the accessory quickly first. And here we have his huge blaster. Apparently it's the size and weight of a deluxe class figure, at least a deluxe class figure for the time. Except, you know, Optimus is going to wield this as his blaster. It has lights and sounds. First thing to note is this whole piece can flip out. This becomes a helmet right here. It'll go over Optimus's head, and all this will kind of lock this in position in front of him. You know, it's great for display, I guess. Like I said, it has lights and sound, so you can press this button right here, and it lights up and does that. Or this one over here, and it does that. Or this one up here will, because this is mech tech, this will make this whole section kind of go forward, and then we get sounds. Of course, it doesn't stay out. Him saying that line only happens every third time. So, I don't know, if you like gigantic blasters that are very, very, very alien, then this is right up your alley. And now we have Optimus without his trailer right here. This is where we're going to start. We're going to convert the kind of base figure first. All we've done so far is remove the trailer and take that huge blaster off the bottom. It just pegs in with pegs that are on the blaster and a couple of peg holes underneath. By the way, I will say this. This guy's actually covered in peg holes. As a matter of fact, before we get into the transformation, I meant to show this off moments ago, but this guy's compatible with Siege figures. There are 8 5mm ports on top of the trailer. There are 5mm ports on the side, and on the other side that's 12. I think there's even some in his wheel wells. Like, the guy's covered in these ports. Now, it was part of the mech tech gimmick, but in the Siege line, we're getting that same sort of, let's armor them up with all of the accessories possible. So it's kind of, everybody's saying like, hey, Siege is brand new with this idea. It's not brand new with this idea. It's just revisiting something that worked in the past and was cool in the past and probably never should have went away. Either way, I kind of dig the fact that you have a figure this old who is indeed very, very cross-compatible with modern-day figures. You could just as easily use Cog or Six Gun or Brunt on Optimus as well in this mode and in his armored-up robot mode. Nevertheless, here we are once again. So we're going to do the conversion. It's actually not bad at all. It's satisfying, but it's not overly complicated. There's one part that is weird to me. I assume that it's weird to me because I don't have the instructions. I don't know how much the instructions would help. So let's get into it. I'll give them all the scores after the fact. We begin by untabbing these kind of wheel well pieces from the back. There's a little tab and a little rectangular slot right there. You take that apart, and then you can lift this whole piece up over. You do the same on the other side. You can lift that whole piece up over. Then I find it useful to lift that entire piece up over and that entire piece up over. You will see now that in here we have his feet. His feet are pegged on over 2 pegs. There are 2 5mm pegs in there. His feet on the bottom of them have 5mm ports. In other words, you could give him Cog shoes. No problem, man. You unpeg those feet and you start to bring the legs out. The gray of the thighs back here are tabbed in over just a little section, so you need to bring the feet out to the side, untab the thigh, and then you can rotate the legs down. And you can see that he's getting sort of like expanded apart. I guess I'll get his arms out since we have him here in this position now. The arms aren't too bad. You can see that they're like in right here. Here are the shoulders. So you take the arms, you open them and bring them out to the side, and you're gonna like kind of rotate these around. Don't worry about getting them in a perfect position right now. The big thing that we're gonna deal with next is going to be trying to kind of collapse this body up and get his head out. I need to expand things back so we can sort of see what we're doing better than this sort of, you know, half on screen motif that we're going with right now. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I put his legs sort of just out behind him here in the hope that I can show this decently. This whole piece folds up into here, and then there's a hinge back right here on the kind of blue section partway back on the roof, that will bend down and his head will sort of spring out. It's a lot of moving pieces. As well, we have this piece here. It's going to be his chest. I just bring it up over like that for now. So we're going to collapse that up, and then once it's up, we should be able to... This is the part where, like, I'm not sure how the conversion actually works. I just know it when it happens. I know these come down along his side, but like, this is all the front of his body. I'm just not sure what the instructions like intend for you, how the instructions intend for you to do this. So, okay, so it looks like you have to pick up the center of the windshield, untab it, and then you can fold it down. There we go. There we go. And make sure that that chest piece comes up over. Okay, I'll stand him up now and we'll just finish off the little bits and pieces. I hope that showed clearly. I collapsed the back, and then I just learned, just right now doing the conversion, I just learned that you untab the center of like his windshield, and that will flip back, allowing you to kind of bend the whole collapsed section down onto his back. And then you bring this whole piece that was kind of the bottom of the truck, you bring it up to become his chest, and the head will spring up by itself. It's a little bit of automorph in there. After you untab this one piece of the windshield and you start to fold down the back, then the head sort of automorphs up, and everything sort of moves at once there. That's why it was kind of difficult to show. Nevertheless, I hope it came off as easy as what it is, and I may have made it look harder than it actually is. Nevertheless, here now we can kind of finish this no problem. We have a shoulder here and a shoulder here. They're all good and grand and dandy. We can bend at the elbow and bring it forward and bring down part of the grill, and there's a like rectangular slider in there that brings his hand out, and bring this down kind of over the shoulder. Same on the, can that fold up? No, I don't think. Same on the other side. We take the arm, we kind of position it, we bring down the shoulder pad, we flip down the part of the grill, we push out the hand. And that's the front of the robot done. All we have left is the back, and the back is actually pretty simple to do. First time I did this, I did it wrong because I did not know where to put these pieces, but once you know, it's actually kind of elegant the way that this fits together. So you're going to end up bringing it in so that this tab goes into this slot. You're going to bring the front of it forward, and it folds and tabs in. You're going to rotate this out, and you're going to bring it up. And when you bring it up, there's a little red tab in right here that goes into a little rectangular slot up on the gas tank part, I suppose. That tab's in there, and now you can take this whole wing and tab this peg into that hole. And you do the same over on this side. You fold that in, you bring this up over, you bring that around to tab it into the back, and really, though he's backwards here now, boom, we have Optimus in his robot mode. And so he's a fine looking, I guess, version of Optimus from the movies. Is it perfectly screen accurate? No, it's definitely got some stylization to it, but it's certainly not bad, and it certainly has a lot of paint, nice head sculpt, nice sculpting. Yes, it's stylized. There's no doubt about it. So in terms of animation accuracy, 7.5. You know, it's definitely movie Optimus, but there are certain liberties taken. 7, maybe 8, but I'm saying 7.5. Evidently, he's a Voyager class figure. Well, you know, here he is next to Siege Optimus Prime. Significantly bigger than that Voyager, so either he's bigger than a Voyager, or man, have Voyagers really gone down in size. Here he is next to something a bit closer to his time, a Voyager a bit closer to his time. The evasion mode Optimus Prime, who again is vastly downsized. You know, from 2011 to 2014, did Voyagers decrease this much? Possibly, because we did go through quite the economic downturn. That being said, here he is with the Power of the Primes Leader Class Evolution Optimus Prime, and I would say that this is more of a Leader Class figure, not a Voyager. At least by modern standards. Maybe at the time this was a Voyager. I mean, you know, either way, if it's what was recognized as a Voyager, you can see how much the sizes have changed. And of course, if we were to bring in a Leader Class or a Voyager class, well, a Leader Class Optimus Prime from the Siege line, that, like Cybertron or Galaxy Force, whatever it is, rendition, I mean, that would be really small next to this apparent Voyager class as well. By the way, before we go on and look at the articulation and grade the transformation for this guy, I want to point out something about the Power of the Primes, dude. For anyone not in the know, when it comes to the ankles of Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, you have a section back here and a little tiny notch. And then down on the foot you have like a bar going down right there. That bar right there goes into that notch. It does not just rest there. You push it up until it snaps. So I take it, I push it up, and most people stop it right there. Listen. Did you hear that? It snapped in place. And once it's done, he's super duper secure on his feet. I apologize for that little sidebar there, but I hear it all the time. Especially now with the Star Convoy version of that mold coming, everybody complaining, saying, yeah, but the mold's not very good, he can barely stand. He stands like a champion. He stands fantastic if you convert him right. And I don't mean to be here and make it sound like, hey, I'm being harsh on people that don't like his ankles. I'm just saying that hopefully, instead of me having to say it 100 times over, hopefully I have helped at least one person to realize that, hey, maybe I was doing the ankles wrong. Because I'm going to tell you, I was doing them wrong for a long time. Before I realized, hey, no, they push back and lock into place. Who knew, right? Who knew? Anyway, back to this guy, 7.5. We'll do the articulation. I can't do the transformation yet because we still have a part of that to go, but I'll do his articulation in this mode. And I'll even give the articulation a score because I'll sort of talk about it for what we're going to have in the final mode. We have a head that can go left and right. It can sort of wiggle up and down because of it being spring-loaded, but I think that's unintentional. We have, oh, his body came undone there. We have arms that can go all the way around, way out to the side, bicep swivel, elbow under 90 degrees, that's disappointing, nothing at the wrist. We do not have a waist on this guy, but the legs can go well forward, they can go well back. We have a thigh swivel, we have a knee to 90 degrees, and I guess technically his ankles can go up and down because of the transformation for the big robot mode. It's all right, but it's something this big that has the articulation I would expect on a deluxe class figure. And while on a deluxe class or a Legends class figure probably, I would say, hey, it's all right. It's you know, it's pretty good. It's probably 8.5. For this guy, I'm going to say it's 7.5. I'm going to say it's 7.5. They could have at least given him wrists. They could have maybe engineered the legs so that he could have a little over 90 degrees at the knee. I feel like he should have it. It's not bad. It's just it could have been a little bit better. So I'm going to say 7.5. So far, I'm going to say this guy's getting a 7.5. The other reason I'm giving him a 7.5 is because when we put him in his huge trailer mode, he is even more limited in his articulation. While the arms and shoulders still move pretty fine and are sort of engineered in an ingenious fashion, from the waist down, he can move his legs out to the side, and I don't even think I showed this part. He can move his legs out like this. You know, he can do full splits, but like, when he has all of his armor on, while his legs can move out to the side, that's it. There's no knee, there's no forward movement, there's no back movement. Really limited. So at best, the best that I can give him is 7.5 for articulation. So overall, for something that's calling itself Ultimate, the guy is currently getting a 7.5, and we haven't graded the transformation yet. The transformation of the cab? Easy, man. It's, I'd say it's a solid 10. It's a great, intuitive, interesting transformation. Something different done with the feet instead of just kind of, you know, crumpling them up. It actually goes up into the cab section. Like, honestly, 10 for the cab, I think it's ingenious. But then we get to this. That's right, this. And like, I honestly don't know where to begin to try and show this conversion. This was a mold that was used a couple of times. It came out again in 2012 for Year of the Dragon. That looked really cool, by the way, with the red. Not exactly Optimus accurate, but it looked cool. It's nice to have this, but I think that the mistake they made was trying to make it self-contained. It's not parts forming. It's one thing. Now, to be fair, a lot of parts do fall off this and are probably going to happen as we go through. But the intention is for it to not be parts formery. And while I respect that, I think it made this unnecessarily complicated to the point that I really do not find it fun at all to convert this to the thing mode. I don't even know what to call it. The armor mode, I suppose. I guess. It's impressive looking, but it's not fun. I feel like that though some people have complained about things like the Siege line having, you know, like parts forming pieces, especially on, for example, Ultra Magnus. And while that Ultra Magnus isn't really for me, because I think it's a bit small, I find the legs a little limited, I'll say this. It's an ingenious figure, because the way that the parts forming aspect of that works, everything is tight and secure, and it's not frustrating to do at all. It's nice, intuitive, everything like slides and slots perfectly. That's intuitive, that's fun. This, despite it being one piece and sort of brilliant in the engineering that went into it, just plain isn't fun, man. It's not fun at all. So where do we begin with this? Oddly, where we begin is pretty simple, because all we're gonna do is sort of stand this thing up. I feel like I'm reviewing a Titan. That's what I feel like with this. And apparently, this is supposed to turn into 2 feet of limb and extensions and wings and all of that stuff. So we'll see how big this actually gets in the end. I'll say this though, you can sort of see how things would be here. Like we have, here are the shoulders, here are the new forearms, here are the like lower leg sections, here are like his new feet. So you can sort of see the intention behind how this is going to go. I'll try to do this without popping a whole lot of stuff off, but I'm not hopeful. Remember as well, I do not have instructions, so I kind of don't know what piece goes first. So we're gonna give this a try, see how it goes. Wish me luck. We begin, I think, by undoing that piece and undoing that piece. I have no idea if that's correct, but that's what I'm going to say. Then the whole top section here, really it folds up. There's a hinge back here, folds up, and then these will become wings out to the side, and in right up here there's a blue section that kind of has a couple of blades, antenna, I don't know. That will come out next. So I'm going to sort of try and angle it up here a little bit so you can see me like lift that up so you know how it's supposed to move. I think. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I think this, take that out. Oh, and unattach it from these forearm pieces. They tab in for vehicle mode. Up, and then bring these out to the sides and bring those up. I believe that's what I'm supposed to do. Take these tires. Can you even see that? I think you can see that. Why do I keep making everything plural here? And these tires, I thought they folded down. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's that they were folded Maybe they can fold down. Just like that. I don't know. We'll do that and we'll call it good. See? That comes out. It's not supposed to, but it does like to pop out. It's ratcheted. It's supposed to like just angle up. I don't know. I don't find it's that great. There. Oh, yeah. Angle this whole hinge back and then bring this forward if you want to angle the wings up. That's what I was forgetting. There you go. There you go. Now, obviously, the wings are like gone out of frame here. We'll see it again. Don't worry. They're not gone too far, even if you can't see them right now. But it does allow us to sort of work on these panels on the side. And they fold out. And this one folds out. And the back untabs. So we have this on the side done. The roof of the trailer untabs. This whole piece here untabs. Again, this likes to pop out from up right here. And it's supposed to be able to rotate out into position. Oh, I know how it's supposed to be able to rotate out into position, because by rights, though I have this folded up, this whole piece here should be able to fold down over the back. Boy, oh boy, is this... Take that piece off, and take that piece off. That's the easiest thing we can do here. And then this whole section here, this whole gray piece comes out. I forgot that, because this is not fun. There, you untab that whole gray piece, and then you bring this down. Wow, wow, what a nuisance. Then we take those trailer sections, and before I lock that in, and bring it out. Same on the other side. And bring it out, and then bring this down over on the back. Wow. Whew. All right, so now that we have that done, wow, man, do I not like this. We can bring this out and bring this out to the side for now. This and this are gonna be part of the, I guess we'll call it part of his like new abdomen section, and we can hopefully bring those out, split the legs here at the feet, and let's bring those front shin pieces down. And like, here we have all of Optimus's armor. Now then, before we put Optimus in at all, what do I like about this? I love the metallic paint that's on the inside of those panels. The way the panels move is nothing but a pain and a nuisance. Granted, I did forget that when you fold up that piece that has the two like blades on the top on it, that you're also supposed to bring it down around the back. But I don't know. I like, honestly, I find the conversion is actually better to do if you take all the panels off and then just pop them on after. Even though they're supposed to just be on like ratchets and not come off, I find they're gonna come off anyway. I don't know if that's widespread or if it's just where this is an aged version now of the mold and, you know, over time they've just gotten loose or what. But I know that I find that if they pop out, that's almost something I'm happy about, because it makes life so much easier. It's a lot. It is a lot to kind of get here. Now, that being said, Once you kind of know the method for doing this, opening that up isn't too bad. The hardest part is probably figuring out exactly how these shoulders are gonna go. And even right now, I almost can't tell you. We're gonna have to get Optimus in there, and I need to sort of position it because of how they lock in. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. That's all. It's just a little bit of a pain. Now, going to this mode is easier than going back to putting this into a trailer. Because putting it back into a trailer, you gotta sort of smush everything in there, make sure that those arms and shoulders are perfect, and then you have a lot of panels and pegs that need to go lined up. I said the conversion was a 10 for the trailer. It's not a 10 for this. So let's see how Optimus fits in there and how those shoulder pieces fit on. Taking Optimus Prime, we will put his feet down. When we put his feet down, he's going to go basically slide over this. His legs will go down in here. There are pegs, 5mm pegs right there. They go into his feet. I'm gonna get his feet kind of put on there. And locked in, because it's a little bit of a nuisance to lock them in. Like, once they line up, it's great, but it's a slight pain to lock them in. That being said, you will also notice up here, we have a black square, I guess, in the middle of the back of Optimus, in between these two sections, in between the panels that were folded in. We have a indentation that slots on over this and actually locks it in really, really securely. Now that we have Optimus in here, and that actually went a bit better than I thought it was going to, we can close this up, and take this whole front section and close it up over. Optimus now is going nowhere. He is in there nice and secure and just snug as a bug in a rug. Now what about the shoulder section? Now this is where things get a little bit hairy for me. I tend to pick this up and then I bring the shoulders up and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do this. I bring the hand out. Now the thing is, there's a peg in here that goes down into his hand. There's a 5mm peg in right here, and it goes down into Optimus's hand. And I find that I need to put that in, and then I can sort of position the arm the way it's supposed to be. That's the way I need to do it. It's not right. It is definitely not the way it's intended to go, but it's the way that I need to do it, unfortunately. Okay, so it wasn't pleasant getting here, but the kind of red and blue section should be out front. There's like a goldy browny series of hinges, and they kind of flip out to the outside, and then we bring the arm up close to the forearm side over here so that the tire and the wheel well is in underneath the forearm, and then we fold the top of the forearm down over. It sounds like a lot, it sounds complicated. I didn't really show it getting here because I had to sort of figure it out. I'm going to sort of try and kind of zoom in on the other arm and see if I can actually show you the process to doing it, because it's weird. It's ingenious, but it's weird, and again, I think that we would have been better served if this had just been parts forming pieces where you take off a shoulder piece and you snap it on, you take off a forearm piece and you snap it on. I think that this is a time when that would have been preferable, even though the time that this was made, like, it's almost like parts forming was a bad word to say. Okay, I hope that this works to show what I'm trying to show. And if it doesn't, then you have my apologies. So we bring this piece up so that we can fit the shoulder piece like in over the shoulder. Then there's a blue armature way back on the, let's see if I can get this down out of the way. There's a blue like armature of hinges back here that comes up like kind of straight on the back. Then there's a series of like brown hinges, and they kind of fold down so that the shoulder kind of comes down next to his shoulder. These brown hinges in right here that my finger is on can now also rotate to the outside. That opens up the space to fit in over the shoulder. We fold out that piece of the forearm, we fold out the hand. We bring this in over the shoulder, and we fit the forearm piece on over the forearm. And then we bring the forearm piece down. This peg will go into the hand, or it should go into the hand. Please go into the hand. There, like that. We bring that shoulder pad back down, and there is the arm done, and Optimus looks like this in the end. Woo! This is Optimus, and he is undoubtedly enormous. There's no doubt about it, but we're still not quite done if we want to show the guy off. We still have that huge accessory. Now, the accessory has kind of two things that it can do. One, it can go attached to the back. I'm just going to show it because I don't find that on this copy it stays securely, and I might be doing something wrong. But basically, you can turn the figure around. When you turn him around, you will notice that you have two rectangular slots right here. Well, on this blaster thing, you have two rectangular, really they're hooks, and you're able to put it in and it will hang there. That being said, I find that in trying to hang it there, all you do is keep pressing the buttons that make the noises and sounds, and that just drives me bonkers. So I'm not actually doing it. I'm not actually going to lay it there, but you can. There's no problem doing that. Or you can put it on the way it's intended to kind of be displayed, with the battle mask coming down over Optimus's face, and there's a whole section that kind of comes down behind him and locks into position here. Believe me, I know that this angle is weird, but let me just bring those up because they're going to have to come up. And then this comes in, and really you fit it down over his head, and it sorta, kinda should lock down there in the back, and then the hands come up here and right there and hold it, lock that down, and in the end this is the way he's intended to go displayed, and it looks impressive and cool and huge and weird. I will say this, in this mode he has zero articulation. He is very static, very powerful, but very, very static, no doubt about it. If you don't want him like this because he's not using this gigantic blaster thing, like I said, you can put it on the back, and it does give him a little bit of mobility. So exactly what mobility does he retain here? Well, the head still goes left and right. The shoulders, they can still go all the way out. They can still go forward, not as much. And it like can't really go back. We do still have a bit of an elbow. We don't really have a swivel anymore. Don't have anything at the wrist, nothing at the waist. The legs, as I previously mentioned, they can move out to the side, but there's nothing forward, nothing back, no knee. This is why, while this looks cool, it's not functional. It's just not functional. I had said that his look was a 7.5. It's obviously movie Optimus. I said that the articulation was 7.5 because it's really limited here. I said the transformation for the cab was a 10. The transformation for this trailer thing, it's about a 6. I can't help but feel like, no, this is one case where it should have been a parts former. It's genius, but it seems like it's almost unnecessarily over-engineered and overly complicated for the sake of being one integrated piece. If I owned this figure myself, I would either display it like this and never touch it, or honestly, what would be more likely is I would leave the trailer as a trailer pretty much forever, and I would just use the figure. But that's just me. That being said, just how big does this guy get? Well, here he is again with his Prime brethren. So yeah, he gets pretty big. Pretty big. And here he is with a couple of Titans. The Wei Jiang Ultima Guard, who I looked at in full everything Ultima Guard in episode 409. By the way, I'm hoping to take a look at the Siege Omega Supreme. It does look impressive. It's not going to be my Omega Supreme. I was all in on this guy. He is my Omega Supreme. And I'm very comfortable and happy with that choice. But I am hoping to take a look at the Siege one. And here he is next to Metroplex. Why did I show them with these guys? Because, truthfully, it said that his armor was about, 2 feet. I wanted to compare him to something that's 2 feet. I looked at Metroplex in episode 24 a long time ago. And more recently, when I looked at the Iron Factory Turrets and Manacle in episode 407. Again, am I getting the Siege 6-gun? Probably. Am I going to necessarily keep it? I don't know. I'll see. But yeah, once you extend out the wings and the kind of extensions on Ultimate Optimus Prime, he gets close to 2 feet. Like, he's probably at least the height of Devastator. But, I mean, that being said, you're really sort of grasping at straws because you're going right to the tippy top of those wing pieces. And you're assuming that those wing pieces are being angled up like that. So, yeah, but I don't know if it's really a truthful claim. So what exactly do we think of this guy in the end? He was basically getting a 7.5. We had a 10 and a 6 for the two parts of his transformation. The 10 and 6 average out to an 8. Honestly, I'm going to say that this is about a 7.5 overall. Is it an ultimate Optimus Prime? No, it's not ultimate. Hardly. But this is an alright Optimus Prime, and he's cool to look at. Optimus Prime. But that's about as good as it gets. Would I necessarily, pay an arm and a leg for it? No. Would I go hunting this guy down? No. Do I think there are better versions of the Autobot leader out there, especially for the movie line? Absolutely. Is this cool to look at? Absolutely. If you have it, then hey, more power to you. It's a great, 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 impressive display piece. But to have a moniker and a claim like Ultimate, I don't think it quite lives up to the hype. And here we are once again. And the question that I sort of had the whole way through is, was this guy all flash with no substance? He's a lot of flash. He's a lot of flash. Like, he looks impressive. He looks cool. And it's as simple as, hey, let's put a little bit of blue metallic paint in there. Like, it didn't take much. Let's extend it out so he looks really big. There's a lot of animals in the animal kingdom that make themselves look big because it's supposed to be impressive and imposing. But at the end of the day, it's all just flat panels. Like, he looks cool, but, the substance is iffy. Another reason the substance is iffy is because the conversion of the trailer is not fun. It's just, I don't find it fun anyway. And it severely limits his articulation. No, this is an alright figure. It's cool that he can combine with his trailer. And if you want to kind of, present him as our last hope is Optimus with his trailer for that one final blast, and he's only going to do that one final blast, then he's fine. But in terms of playability and usability in this mode, it doesn't really offer much. It looks cool, but that's about it. So is this an Ultimate Optimus Prime? No, man. It is a, hey, he's cool to look at on the shelf Optimus Prime, even though he's going to take up some prime real estate. Pardon the pun. Anyway, let me know what you think about this guy. Maybe you absolutely love him. Maybe you dig him. Maybe you know something about them that I don't, because again, I didn't have instructions. You know, I love to hear from you guys and what you think about these guys, and I appreciate you giving me some of your extremely valuable time. Again, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so very much, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.